Hello and welcome to Better Questions, Better Answers. I'm Zach and I'm going to be your questionnaire for today. And the goal of this channel is to help you connect through meaningful conversations. And what better way to do that than by asking great questions to people that you really love? So today's video is going to be 10 questions to ask your grandparents before it's too late. You know, we spend so much time with the people we love, but we never take the time to actually record it and save it. I actually operate a memory preservation company that specializes in saving people's oral histories, and we ask them specialized questions so that way we can get the most out of them. And your grandparents hold a very, very important wealth of knowledge that pertains to your family, to your loved ones, to their stories. And it's really important to make sure that you try and capture as much of that as you can, so that way it's saved forever for your loved ones. So before we get into these 10 questions, I want to make sure that you guys are hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button. This is a newer channel, so it really helps. And we're going to be exploring a lot more questions that you should be asking people around you, whether it's a significant other, parents, grandparents, loved ones, boss, just the whole gamut of the spectrum. And you'll also want to make sure that you turn on your notifications so that way you never miss a video. Okay, let's get into these 10 questions. Okay, so question number 1, and this is just going to be a base question that will allow you to dive deeper into your grandparents' past life. And the question is, what was your childhood like? Now, the nice thing about this question is that it allows your loved one to be able to dive into what it was like when they were a child, and often helps to start the door in the conversation as to the beginning of their timeline. Staying on a timeline with your loved one is really important. So it's important to start with the beginning. Ask them questions, sub-questions about their parents. Tell me about your mom. Tell me about your dad. What was it like when they were raising you? Were you a good kid? Were you a bad kid? Did you get into trouble? And this all stems from that first question of what was your childhood like? It can be a little intimidating asking someone who's older than you to explain the past, and it's also really easy to get caught up and kind of stuck in a rut where they're explaining a lot to you. The best thing I recommend to do to keep them on track is just to kind of allow them to speak, but also to butt in when it feels right. This takes a lot of emotional intelligence because you'll have someone who typically will start saying, well, when I was growing up, I had to go to the store to buy milk for my brothers and sisters, and this was back when milk came in the jugs, and you had to do this and this and this. They start to go kind of on these long-winded tracks, but that shouldn't stop you from being able to say, you know what, I really love that. What store did you used to go to? You can get a little deeper and a little more niche with the question asking. So, question number 1, what was your childhood like when you were younger? And also, understanding their background can help you to see the larger context of your family history. The more they talk about their grandparents and the more they talk about their parents, that should allow you to better understand where you come from and also maybe some of the traits that your parents have. Question number 2. What are the biggest challenges you've seen in the world? You know, talking to grandparents, this can be a lot and it can go a lot of different ways, but the most important thing is to encourage them to reflect on the advancements of technology, culture, and society. This will allow you to have a better understanding of your loved one and also just a better understanding of what life was like for them back in the day. They may talk about, you know what, when you grew up, you had cell phones and you had iPhones, this and this. I used to have to go to a payphone because I had a pager and other things sort of like that. Or even before that, it will lead to really interesting conversations about things you probably didn't know. And this will allow you to have a deeper understanding of where they're coming from, especially when it comes to understanding, like, you know, you're always on your phone, you're always texting. They never had that. This is a great question. And yeah, you can just learn a lot more about your loved ones through this. Okay, question number 3. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome them? Now, I found that sometimes when you ask a person about big challenges in their life, if you're not in the right emotional place with them, it can be hard for them to answer authentically. Really making sure that when you're asking questions about challenges and questions about loved ones, they may talk about a time that they were broke and had nothing and had to live in a car, or they were abused or harmed, or, they didn't know what they were going to do because they were having a baby on the way and, dad or someone lost their job. This allows you to really understand some of the challenges and also develop a better appreciation for the type of person that they are. This question also dives into the resilience and problem solving through tough times. And I found that after a person is gone, hearing how they've overcome challenges really inspires you, or will inspire hopefully someone else in your family to understand that, wow, they had it really hard, they made it through, I can make it through too. This is someone who's coming from where I came from. And their questions will not only be inspiring, but it should also give you lessons on your life and should allow you to answer some of these really hard questions. Question number 4. What's the story of how grandma and grandpa met? So I found with this one, this typically gets pretty emotional, especially if you're talking to grandma and grandpa's not here anymore, or vice versa. So it's always important to have tissues on standby, and also to ask this in a way that's very empathetic. So to sit down with your grandma, hold her hand, look into her eyes, and just say, hey, I would love to know how you met grandpa. Tell me about the time, what was dating like for you guys? They didn't have Hinge and Tinder and Bumble and all the other apps. I'm sure they met at a dance somewhere, or maybe somewhere in the street or something kind of like that, really weird, or a diner. Taking that time and really discovering that about a loved one will hopefully not only inspire you and your family, but it should spark a sense of hopefully romance within you. And yeah, it's important because this is how the foundation of your family comes to be. So I found that by asking questions about connection, that helps to show the connection amongst everyone in the family tree. And it also helps to show where your mom's side and your dad's side comes together. So asking how they met and recording that, saving that. Back to kind of the childhood question, but this is question number 5, and this is a really good one. What were your parents like? This is great to ask a grandparent because your parents probably barely remember their grandparents. And as your grandparents are getting older, it might be more difficult to really understand, like, okay, who raised you and why are you the way that you are? So this is a great way to really dive into just better understanding, like, what was your mom like? Did she take you out? Was she kind to you? Did she listen to you? How did your parents treat you when you had problems or you got in trouble? And although they're definitely most likely not existing anymore, a great-grandparent, this may also open up some things for you. Asking questions about parents and hereditary traits, like, did your mom like pickles? Or did your dad, what did they like to do tradition-wise? And you may start to realize that there's things interconnected within, your mom or your brothers or your sisters or even your children. These traits that have been carried over from generation to generation. Question number 6. What's something you've always wanted to tell me but never have? This question is such a great question. we lose people way too soon, and we never ask them to tell us the things they've always wanted to tell us. I use this as a strategy when I'm working with my clients and sitting down with them to really understand, what have you always wanted to tell your son that maybe you never told them, or your daughter? And these are pretty emotional. Most of the time, parents are proud of their kids, or they'll say things like, I'm so glad that you changed your life and you did this and this. Sometimes they share things with you that you would have never expected. I've had a lot of cases where someone has been abused and they say, you know what, this person in my family really hurt me. And I'm telling you this now because I don't want to go to my grave harnessing this in my heart. So asking the question of what's something you've always wanted to tell me, or you've always wanted to share with, our family so it lives on forever, it is so important. Question number 7. What's your proudest moment? Now, this question's really interesting because sometimes I'm cautious about asking people about their proudest or most this moment, because then it kind of gives off the vibe of like, do I not have any more proud moments to live for? Do I not have anything else that I'm excited for that's coming up, or can I do something? But maybe asking it in a way that's a bit more like, tell me about a time where you felt a lot of pride in the work that you did, or in a social impact you made, like some sort of impact that you made to the community. Encouraging them to share this will really kind of help to stamp that legacy piece as you're recording them and as you're saving their stories. And also, this is like a big family pride thing. This will allow you to kind of share with your loved ones. Like, you may have never known that great grandma actually received this key to the city of Las Vegas because she was a showgirl that helped to open this and this, and also started a nonprofit or something kind of like that. There are crazy stories that you probably would have never even guessed. So ask that question. Question number 8. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? Now, this gives them a chance to reflect on their life, and this also helps to allow a loved one to really just, take the time to think about like, man, I would have not walked into that bar that day, or I would have never married my first husband or my first wife. You kind of get to understand this picture, or a lot of times people will talk about their intuition, like, I really wish that I'd listened to myself and traveled back to the home country, or traveled back to a place where my family is from so I could have better understood, and now I feel like it's too late. Question number 9. What's the most important lesson you feel you've learned during your lifetime? Now, asking this, they can go across the decades. I feel like people learn different lessons across their life. Sometimes it's really hard for people on the spot to come up with one thing, to say, my whole life has been a lesson in love, or something kind of like that. But, you can say, at this point in your life, what do you feel the overall lesson or theme has been that you've been meant to learn? This really allows for a loved one to reflect, and also to take the time to really give a genuine answer. If someone gives you a jokey answer like, well, lesson of my life is to not drink as much beer, or something kind of like that, laugh with them, be like, okay. No, but seriously, I really want to know, what's been something that you've learned throughout your life that, would be important to me, or important to my brother or my sister, or, mom or dad. This is a great tool for just learning and reflection. And for question number 10, what legacy do you hope to leave behind? this is a question that hopefully helps your grandparents reflect on, the work that they did in their life, and also the impact and the social impact that they made. Most of the time I found that a lot of grandparents will say it's their kids, or it'll be their grandchildren, or the legacy I left behind is this business that I built, or this nonprofit that I started, or something of the sort. You'll learn really interesting and cool facts that spark really deep and meaningful conversations. And hopefully, once you learn more about their legacy, you'll also start to learn more about yourself and start thinking about the things you want to leave behind for the people who you love. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that these 10 questions will inspire you to sit down with your grandparents and really open up the doors to a deeper sense of connection with them, and that you'll have a more meaningful and in-depth conversation with them about their lives. And it's so important to record it, whether it's on your phone or a little portable audio device or just on a nice camera. Sit down and save their stories. It is so important to save that legacy for them so that way it lives on forever. If you have any more questions, please feel free to email at betterquestionshq@gmail.com. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications for this channel. So that way you are always in the loop on what's happening and how you can stay in contact with us and with these amazing questions that we're sharing with you. And do you have any favorite questions you've asked a grandparent? Maybe one that I can make a part 2 or in another video. Please let me know, comment below. I want to know the questions that you ask your loved ones, so that way we can create a thread and a community of question askers. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.